Right, good evening, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to a rather special, if slightly sad evening, because this is our last Pick and Pay Winemakers Table for 2021, and gee, have we had a great deal of fun doing them. My name's Dan Nicol. A warm welcome to all of you on behalf of Pick and Pay, on behalf of Pick and Pay Online and the Pick and Pay Wine Club, and on behalf of JC LaRue, who are our partners for our celebratory end to our Winemakers Tables for this year. It's obviously been a slightly different world. I remember when we first started these, we did them in person. Do you remember that, when you actually went to events and real people were there and you got to talk to them and say hello and do crazy things like shake hands? Well, it's all very different now. But what this has allowed us to do through the medium of video calls and Zoom is to reach people all over South Africa. And through the course of this year, with the help of an extraordinary chef who you're going to meet momentarily and a collection of terrific winemakers, to discover a little more about some of your favorite wine, discover some wine you perhaps didn't know quite so well, and discover how to take that wine, whether you knew it or not, and pair it up with some different, some unusual food and make something really special. And best of all, and I've discovered this to my delight, is learn how to create dishes that when you first look at them think, that looks really complicated. There is no way I can make this. And then when it's done, you discover actually it was quite easy and I can now dazzle all of my friends, which is exactly what I do and exactly what you guys are going to be doing after the end of today. Now, today's special for a number of reasons. It is, as I mentioned, the last one for the year, and I'm sure there are a number of you here who are joining us again, who've been to previous Winemakers Tables. If not, a very warm welcome to your first one, and I certainly hope it won't be your last. It's also a special one because this is a very important year when it comes to bubbles. A very short history of bubbles in South Africa. The French make champagne. We're not allowed to call it champagne. It can only be champagne if it's made in the Champagne region in France. And there were a couple of small legal skirmishes, but we've got all that sorted out. And what we call it is Cup Classique, formerly Method Cup Classique, wine that's made in the Method Champenoise, the method they use in France. And it was first made in South Africa by a guy called Frans Malan in 1971. Do the maths, and you'll know that it is a 50-year celebration this year, half a century of South Africa making what we now call Cup Classique. And JC LaRue is very much at the forefront of that. Now, chances are the first bottle of Cup Classique you ever had, the first bottle of South African sparkling wine you ever had, was a JC LaRue, that green bottle with the famous white label, a touch of red to it, at a 21st birthday or a family celebration. It really is a part of South Africa's bubbles heritage and a wine many of us have drunk. But it's a wine that goes far beyond just that particular bottle. There's a range of styles that JC LaRue make. And the house of JC LaRue, that's been going since 1982 now, is just a real temple to South Africa's love of a wine that the French might have started, but I like to think we have improved upon. And tonight we're going to be meeting Ulrich, who's the winemaker out at JC LaRue, a man who has a die Vonkel in his vein, I think, as Die Campbells put it quite nicely in the song a few years ago. He's a man who makes beautiful, beautiful Cup Classique, beautiful sparkling wine, and gives you the opportunity, as you'll see this evening, to discover different styles, different interpretations, and find out exactly how it is made. What it also does is allow us to do something I don't think we do nearly enough of in South Africa. And on Dan Really Likes Wine, my wine show, which I host in partnership with Pick and Pay, we explore all sorts of things, but this is a topic that's come up this year time and again, not just drinking bubbles for a birthday party or a grand occasion or as an aperitif before dinner, actually learning how to pair bubbles with food and getting the best out of both your wine and your food. And tonight, you've got blue cheese on the menu, chorizo on the menu, a terrific dessert on the menu, stuff you might not have automatically thought could pair with a champagne style of wine, but which you'll discover this evening most certainly does. So welcome to what's going to be a very fun, very entertaining hour or so. We'll ask you to get involved, to please keep your cameras on. We have muted you, otherwise it does get a bit noisy, but please do keep your cameras on so we can see how you're doing. And if we see any flames in your kitchen, we can alert the fire brigade. I will also check in just for a quick look to see whether what you make looks anything like what our chefs do, but I suspect it will. We'll also ask you to take some photos, use social media, and bang up onto whatever social media platform you like, your pictures, your thoughts, and use 2 very simple hashtags, hashtag PNP Wine Club and hashtag JC Leroux. And we have 5 vouchers, 200 Rand worth of Smart Shopper points. Will be loaded up onto your card, and that will be an added bonus for what is already a bit of a winning evening. It is brought to you by Pick n Pay Online, who delivered everything to you. The Pick n Pay Wine Club, which is committed through Pick n Pay to getting 25 million bottles of South African wine onto shelves around the country and giving all of us such great access to terrific wine. And also brought to you by JC Leroux and Ulrich, who you'll meet in just a moment. But the person I'd like to introduce you to, first of all, is a guy called Jonathan. He's part of the Pick n Pay family. He's not just an extraordinary chef, but he's a wonderful teacher. He brings food and wine together so well, and he will give you tonight 3 dishes that I guarantee will lift everybody's opinion of you as a chef by the time you're done this evening and have added them to your culinary armory. I'll be back at the end of the show to see who has won those 200 Rand vouchers and see if anybody's got any particular questions. There is a chat box at the bottom. Feel free if something has passed you by, if you need something repeated, or you've just got some comment, we'd love to hear from you. But right now, over to our kitchen studio down in Cape Town. And first of all, to Chef Jonathan. Have a wonderful, wonderful hour. I'll see you a little later on. Enjoy.
All right, thank you very much, Dan, and welcome everybody to what is the last of the Winemakers Table for 2021. It's number 9, and it's a very, very special one. We're going to have a great time this evening. I'm here with none other than Ulrich, who is the head winemaker at JC Leroux. So we're going to have an excellent evening. You guys have got all of your boxes delivered by Pick n Pay Online. Thank you very much for that. You'll see that they are in a beautiful little picnic basket, which you guys can reuse during summer. So what I'd like to give for you to do a little bit is just to empty that, take out all of your canapés, and while we're doing that, making sure that we've got all of our bubbly that's been nicely chilled as well. So before we begin, I'd like to introduce you again to Ulrich, head winemaker at JC Leroux. Ulrich, would you like to tell us a little bit more about JC and a little bit about what we're going to be tasting today?
Thank you, Jonathan. So I'm Ulrich. I've been part of the JC Leroux team for the past 5 years. As Dan mentioned, that we have a number of different sparkling wines on the farm itself. So tonight we'll be handling the Vivante range. Then we also have the MCC, and then the cans, and then the nectars, which is a demi-sec.
Amazing. So a full range, eh?
Yeah.
How many different products do you have at JC?
So it's in total about 10 different products, yeah.
Amazing. All right, awesome, yeah.
And then the farm itself, the farm is about 33 hectares. The cultivars on the farm is Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, a little bit of Cab, Shiraz, and then Pinotage.
Okay, so a lot of different varietals on one farm.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. And obviously, as I said, what you guys are needing to do, make sure that that bubbly has been chilled, that either it's chilled on ice or it's been put into a fridge. We need to take ours out of our fridge to make sure that it's nice and cold as well. But yeah, as I said, what we're going to do is we're going to be turning you guys into some chefs this evening. We've got a lot of beautiful ingredients. And as Dan mentioned, these simple little ingredients are going to pair so beautifully with these 3 different bubblies as well. Something that you might not expect, something that you might have never tried, but that's what tonight is all about. It's all about experimenting. It's about trying new things. It's about getting creative in the kitchen. So make sure that you got your aprons on, because we're going to get a little bit dirty. We're also going to make sure that we've got, if you can, make sure you've got all your equipment ready. Your kitchen, as the French say, needs to be prepared in a mise en place fashion, that you need to have all of your ingredients ready, laid out nicely, and you need to have your equipment ready. So make sure that you've got your pan, because we're going to be doing a little bit of frying, or we're going to be doing a little bit of toasting on the second canapé, which is going to be a little bit of a naan bread. So make sure you've got everything organized. And while we do that, we're going to take our bubbly out of the fridge. And it's very important to make sure bubbly is ice cold. Chilled. Is that right?
Chilled, yeah.
Chilled. What temperature do we like to keep the bubbly at?
I would say serving temperature At 10 degrees.
10 degrees,
Yeah,
eh?
yeah.
Make sure it's nice and cold.
Yeah.
Excellent. So we've got 3 really great sparkling wines. We're going to start off with the Sauvignon Blanc. Is that correct?
That's correct. The Sauvignon Blanc.
Excellent. So as you see, we'll start off with the Sauvignon Blanc. We'll move our way through onto the slightly sweeter, which is the La Domaine. And then we're going to end off with a beautiful pink sparkling wine called La Fleurette.
La Fleurette. In
Amazing.
French, it means little flower.
Little flower.
Yeah.
All right. Amazing. That's quite cute. All right. Good stuff. So I think that, yeah, do you have any sort of tips in terms of how to open a bottle of champagne?
Yeah.
Bottle of bubbly?
So Jonathan, I think most of us, if we go to a party or we celebrate an achievement or whatever, we pop the bottle,
Yes.
and that's actually wrong.
Is
So
it not right to
it's not
shake
right.
up the bottle
No.
and
so,
pop it?
So how you do it is you open it a little bit,
Yeah.
and then it must just give you a slight whisper.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was expecting to have
The
to
reason
jump
for
up.
that is if you're gonna pop your bottle,
Yeah.
you're gonna lose a lot of bubbles in that process.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the important part. We want to keep those
You
bubbles
want to
in.
keep that bubbles inside.
All right. Amazing. Good stuff. So we're starting off, as I said, with the Sauvignon Blanc. Make sure that your bottles are chilled, that you've got a wine glass or a champagne flute as well. We're going to be using a champagne flute. You also certainly can use a wine glass as well. Any difference between a champagne flute and a wine glass if you're doing a bubbly tasting?
I don't think there's a difference, Jonathan. I think it's just to accommodate the bubble and how the bubble is expressed in the glass itself.
Okay. All right. But either one would work perfectly. Often when you are using, when you're doing a tasting, sometimes it is also quite nice to use a wine glass because it does have a bit of a broader nose,
yeah.
and you can really get your
all-
snout in there. Huh?
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Good stuff. Cool. Would you like to pour a little bit of our Sauvignon Blanc first, and maybe just explain a little bit more about this sparkling wine?
Okay, so this is our Sauvignon Blanc. There we go.
Lovely.
100% Sauvignon Blanc. The grapes are sourced
And for you too.
throughout the Western Cape. The alcohol is about 12% alcohol, 14 grams of sugar. So
Okay.
it's not
It's not
completely
sweet,
dry.
and it's not
It's off dry, I would
off
say.
dry, eh?
Yeah. And then yeah, I think the aromas you'll pick up on the palate is lychee, grenadella, some cut grass on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fruity.
Fruity.
Amazing.
Zesty. Yeah.
A little bit of zesty as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, guys. So if you poured yourself a little bit of a glass, and we are going to be moving on into the kitchen. And as I said, I hope that you've taken out all of your ingredients that were so kindly delivered by Pick and Pay online. And the first one that we're going to start off with to pair this with is the blue cheese, caramelized onion, and walnut tartlet. All right. And so we always have a lot of fun in the kitchen, sort of developing all of these pairings and coming up with what sort of would match different bubblies. And the reason why we've kind of gone with this is always there's many different reasons. There's lots of different things that you've got to think about when you're doing a pairing, but it also, at the same time, it's all about experimenting and trying things as well.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm just used to, in terms of bubblies, pair it with nougat and not with food.
Okay.
So this is going to be
This is going to be
this is
good.
going to be
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly. So with bubblies, you certainly can, and this is the great thing about bubblies, which has kind of evolved over the last couple of years, is of really taking bubblies and trying things new with,
Yeah.
with food. So let me teach you a little something today. We're going to become chefs, as I said. So what I want you to do, you'll also see that you've been delivered these little boards, Pick and Pay, sort of this little display boards. What I want you to do is I want you to get your little tart case, simple tart case. There we are. And what we're going to do is we've got a few different components. We've got our caramelized onion, we've got our walnut, we've got our blue cheese, and we've got our pear. And whenever you're composing a dish or you're composing a canapé, it's all about using different flavors, different textures, different tastes. So what I love about this one is it does that exactly. So you've got you've got the crunch of the tart, you've got a little bit of sweetness when it comes to the caramelized onions, you've got a really good creaminess and quite a salty flavor when it comes to the blue cheese, freshness when it comes to the pear, and the walnuts obviously give a very nice nutty flavor as well. All right.
Sounds
So
awesome.
we're going to be doing one step by step, and you guys can just follow me. As Dan mentioned, we'd love to see what you guys are doing also. So please do keep your cameras on. I can see you in my little screen over here as well. but also please do take photos of your creations, because one of 5 lucky winners stands a chance to win 200 Smart Shopper points. All right, cool. So step by step, guys, one by one, we're going to take our little tub of caramelized onions. Really simple to make this at home, something that'll last a long time. You can do a whole big batch at once. You're literally taking the onions, you're slicing it thin, you're cooking it down slowly, slowly, slowly. And as you do that, all of the sugars release out of the onions and you get a really sweet sort of caramelized onion flavor.
I actually get the aroma.
You can smell it already. All right, so we're going to place that into the bottom, and that's going to be the basis of our tart. Pop that straight into the middle. As we said, so simple, but it's just building those flavors and those textures as well. And now we've got our blue cheese. And I absolutely love this blue cheese because there is a real creaminess on the palate. And you'll see later when we're going to be doing the pairing, how well this kind of works with cutting a little bit of that acidity. All right. So a little bit of blue cheese, really nice salty, good little bit of creaminess in there. Doesn't matter how you pop it on. I'm just going to basically crumble it in there. There we go. And when we're talking about contrasts of flavor as well, the sweetness and the saltiness works well. Yeah. Good stuff. A little bit in there. All right. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to teach you how to make little matchsticks. So you've got a pear, great little pear. Obviously, you're going to use a green pear, which we've done, something that's a little bit more firmer because we want to create little matchsticks. So if I want to show you how to do it, there we go. I'm going to start by taking my pear. All right. And if you can just, there we go. I'm going to cut off a small little cheek of my pear. This is a good pear for that because it's nice and crisp still. There we go. And I'm just going to do some very thin little shavings of that. Taste that pear. Nice and crisp, green, freshness. It's going to work really, really well with the Sauvignon Blanc as well. All right, cool. And now what we're going to do there is we're going to slice these thin little cheeks very, 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 very carefully. There we go. Just with a knife, just rock it up, just to make these little matchsticks. All right, little matchsticks that end up looking like these beautiful little, there we go, and take it down. Perfect. There we go. Excellent. Good stuff. All right, I've got a little question. What brand is the blue cheese? I think it's a Fairview cheese. It's probably a Blue Rock or a Blue Tower. Nice and creamy. It's not quite like a Gorgonzola, not as soft as a Gorgonzola, but it's probably a little bit harder. Really good amount of saltiness. Really, really good. All right, cool. So while you guys are sort of catching up there, slicing your pear away, we're just going to have a little look at this glass. And if you look at it, you can see these fine little bubbles coming up, eh?
So in winemaking language, we call this a mousse.
A mousse, okay.
The tiny little bubbles.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost time that we had a little sip, I think, of this mousse. Cheers. All right. In our very festive little studio here, Christmas time celebration. Eh? It's really nice. It's actually, for a Sauvignon Blanc, it's actually quite well balanced. It's actually not very dry, but it's also not sweet. And I think that is kind of where this good balance comes in. Eh?
I think in sparkling wine, you should also, when we make sparkling wine, we make sure that the acid levels are also balanced with the sweetness of the wine itself.
Yeah, and surprisingly, also these bubbles are really quite fine as well, and it gives a really good mouthfeel.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah, so on the farm, we have a restaurant as well, Giovanni's.
Okay.
They do pizzas, and the menu is quite good. And then the farm also caters for baby showers, weddings. So.
And that's the house of JC.
That's the house of JC in Devon Valley, Stellenbosch.
Okay, well, we must definitely go and visit that as well. But you were saying, so that obviously the house of JC opened up a couple years ago, but you were mentioning also that JC Leroux was probably one of the oldest farms in South Africa.
I think it was one of the first farms in South Africa to produce sparkling wine.
Really?
In the early 1700s.
1700s,
Yeah.
they were making sparkling
Yeah.
wine.
Yeah.
It's a long time to be doing that. And really that is kind of just testament to what a solid brand and farm JC Leroux is. I mean, as Dan mentioned, I'm pretty sure that everyone's first bottle of some sort of bubbly at a celebration was probably a JC Leroux.
Even today, I still see it at any
Oh,
party.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, good stuff, guys. So I'm sure that you've all kept up. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put on the final touches onto our canapé and we're going to be able to do a little bit of a pairing. So hopefully you've done your little matchsticks as well as you can. Doesn't matter if they don't look exactly the same, but what we're going to do is we're going to place a few of these really fresh little matchsticks on top. And that's going to also add a little bit of crunch, a little bit of sweetness. It's going to go really, really well. Right. And then you've also got a packet of walnuts. Love these walnuts. Really good sort of nutty flavor. You've got a couple extra here. So throw some in the mouth. And all we need to do is just give a little bit of a scatter of these walnuts on top. And that is exactly what it is. It's all about simplicity. It's all about building on flavors, building on textures, and yeah, creating a really, really fun and exciting little pairing for our bubbly. So I'm not going to be the one who tastes this, Ulrich. You're going to be the one who's going to give it a taste. But before we do that, we must just see how we're going to be doing this pairing. How are we going to be doing a little bit of a food pairing? So generally what we would do is you would take a nice sip.
Take a sip.
Kind of move it around in your mouth. Let those bubbles kind of tingle on your tongue. And once you've done that, you can take your canapé. Please do take photos of your canapé as well before you get rid of it into your mouth. And what you'll start tasting, if you can, is really just those combinations of flavors. And why we think this works well is that because you've got the creaminess of the blue cheese, and basically the blue cheese will be cut through by the acidity kind of level of the Sauvignon Blanc. Is that right?
100%.
100%. Amazing. All right.
Quite good.
Good. I enjoy that. Perfect. And so what we've got to do, we have another little question. It says, does Pick n Pay sell the tart cases? Some Pick n Pays do, but if they're not, it's so simple to make. All you need to do is you're making basically a short crust pastry. So a short crust pastry, very, very simple. You're looking at butter, you're looking at flour, and a little bit of cold water. And all you're going to be doing is you're going to be getting the butter and the flour. Make sure that your butter is cold. You're going to crumble it into little breadcrumbs, and you're going to roll it out. You're going to put it into the fridge to set for a little bit. And what you'll do is you'll just press those into a little bit of a tart case or even a little bit of a muffin tin. But don't worry, we are going to have all of the recipes available as well. We've written them up and we will be able to send them to you. So in the chat box, if you do want a recipe, we'll send those through to you straight away as well. All right. So did you enjoy that?
That was awesome.
How did you think it worked?
I like the layers
Yeah.
that the wine gave me afterwards.
Yeah.
I could still get the blue cheese and the caramelized onions, and then the wine came through with a zest, grenadella, lychee. Awesome.
Lovely. I think that the pair works quite well as well. It's the fruitiness, it's the freshness, and it's also the acidity level of the Sauvignon Blanc that cuts through very, very nicely. Magnificent.
Awesome.
That is. So we were chatting a little bit earlier about the amount of bottles and liters of bubbly that JC produces a year. It's actually quite astounding, which shows that there's a big market. How many liters or bottles do they produce a year?
So the 3 bottles I have in front of me, the Sauvignon Blanc is about 200,000 liters per year. And then the La Domaine and La Fleurette respectively is 1.5 million liters a year.
1.5 million liters.
Yeah.
So pretty much like, well, that's certainly over 2 million bottles.
I think it's
sold
about
a year.
2 million bottles, yeah.
Incredible. And obviously per year you are producing, I mean, so there's no vintages or anything. You try to keep the recipe exactly the same.
100%. And obviously in terms of, I think what makes JC Leroux unique is the fact that in terms of producing 1.5 million liters of wine, is keeping the quality also up there
Yeah, exactly.
consistently. Yeah.
And it's been consistent since for as long as I can remember,
Yeah.
but also probably since the 1700s.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, that's really amazing. All right, perfect. And so guys, I hope that you enjoyed that pairing, a little bit of something different. But as I said to you, it's all about trying things new. And if you don't like to have blue cheese, you know what, there's totally things that you can do. You can use a little bit of feta, you can use a little bit of cream cheese. If you don't want to use nuts and you have a nut allergy, you can put a little bit of crispy onions or a little bit of seeds if you'd like. So change it up as much as you'd like.
Yep.
These aren't any set rules to do it, but obviously we can follow a few different ways that we do food pairings,
Yeah.
but it is all about experimenting. So go to Pick and Pay, buy yourself as many different bottles of wine, invite your friends around, and just experiment when it comes to these pairings.
I think it should be fun.
It's all about being fun, exactly.
Fun.
It is all about fun, and that's also what Pick and Pay Wine Club is about. It's about opening up the doors to various different wines and sort of getting everybody to experiment.
Yeah.
Good. I'm going to put this behind, and as we sort of move over to the next one, I want you guys to get your equipment ready, which is basically your pan. We are going to be doing a little bit of toasting. We've got a little bit of butter, which we're going to spread over a naan, a little bit of a flatbread. So I have got my trusty little, there we go, induction hob. And so make sure that you've got your pan ready, a little bit of a tong maybe to turn that over, and just heat that up as well. So while we're talking about this, get your equipment ready, and we're going to be moving over to the second of our bubblies, which is probably one of the most iconic sparkling wines in South Africa. There we go. That's the little spritz that we wanted to hear.
Okay, so the next one will be our La Domaine. Our La Domaine is 80% Sauvignon Blanc, 20% white muscadel.
Okay.
So the white muscadel is added obviously for the sweetness, and then for the aroma, floral aroma on the nose as well.
Interesting.
And then the grapes are also sourced from all around the Western Cape, predominantly Stellenbosch.
Okay, so then if you look on the back label, you'll see that it is a wine of the Western Cape, origin Western Cape. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Cool. And then how do you keep your wine constant even in the drought? Very good question.
Good question. So obviously each year will differ from year to year, depending on the weather, climate, all of that. So we will obviously taste, and then source the best base wines for this specific wine. So it will be tasting and making our blends until we find the consistency in the previous vintage.
Okay, so you do mix different vintages. Will you hold barrels of all?
So we'll keep reference bottles just to compare from last year to this year. Is there something different? Obviously, there's nothing wrong with bettering your quality,
of course,
but not decreasing the quality.
But you keep obviously you keep all of the sugar levels exactly the same. You're using a Sauvignon Blanc, and very interesting to me also that you're using a white muscadel. And that would obviously, when do you add that white muscadel in the fermentation process?
So it will be fermented separately.
Okay.
And then it will be added when the wine has, let's say when the Sauvignon Blanc is a certain fermentation away, then we'll add the white muscadel to that wine.
And does that sit together for a while, just kind of marry?
That will sit after the fermentation is stopped. Then it will sit in the tank for about, let's say 2 to 3 weeks, going through the processes, adding sulfur, filtering it, cleaning it up before it's sent to the bottling line for carbonation.
All right, interesting. And so just in the process of making sparkling wine, it is quite interesting how they do it as well. So, I mean, obviously you would start off like you do with any sort of wine with grape juice, which has got a very high sugar content, correct?
That's correct. And then with that sugar content, you add your yeast. So in our business, or industry, we'll have different yeast that we can choose from. And that will obviously add different flavors and aromas. And then as your fermentation process develops, you will then decide when to stop it.
Okay.
And then let's say.
And so is that fermentation, you decide when to stop it? Is that based generally on time, or is it based on the amount of sugar level that you want to have or alcohol level?
Yeah, so that will be sugar and alcohol level.
Okay.
So the La Domaine will be then 7.5% alcohol. So let's say 8% alcohol.
So
and
very
then,
light.
Very light. And then the sugar level will be between 70 to 80 grams of sugar.
Okay, so on the sweeter side,
Yeah.
lighter in alcohol,
Yeah. And
easily accessible, easy drinking.
I think so. And then the acid is about 6.5 grams per liter.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So there's still a little bit of acid
Yeah.
there, which is probably necessary
Just
to
for
kind
the
of balance
freshness.
out
Yeah.
that sugar level.
Yeah.
All right, good. Very interesting. All right, guys, now we're back into the kitchen. We've got our pan. We've probably put that hopefully onto your hob. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the second of our canapés, one of my favorites actually, and one of our favorites that we've done is obviously we want to create a little bit of toastiness. So we've got these beautiful little wraps that are available in Pick n Pay. They can be used as a little cocktail wrap. They also can be used as a little bit of a charred flatbread. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be charring them a little bit in a pan in a little bit of garlic butter and creating a nice crisp little flatbread, which is going to be the base of our next canapé using chorizo. I'm going to explain a little bit about chorizo to you. It's got some pickled red onions, which is fantastic as well. We've got a little bit of whipped feta, and then to finally add off that really, really great freshness, we're going to zest a little bit of lime over that as well.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome.
Are you going to be my sous chef in the kitchen here? Or are you just going to pour the wine?
Do you need my help?
Of course.
Cool.
Of course. All right, good stuff. So we're going to put our pan onto a bit of a medium heat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to brush my little flatbreads or my little wraps in some, where's this over here? In a little bit of garlic butter. So you've got a little tub of garlic butter. If it isn't soft enough, that's fine. You can just use a knife to smear it on. Mine's nice and soft. So I'm going to just give this a little bit of there we go. I'm actually going to do 2 of these. Just brush on that butter. And let's do the next one. Brush on that butter. This is simple garlic butter. It's got a little bit of herbs, probably a little bit of salt and pepper. But if you don't have that, just normal butter will work. And obviously the butter, what it's going to do, it's going to give the little wraps or the flatbread a nice golden color. All right, so into the pan. Here a little bit of a sizzle, and we'll leave that there to get a little bit sort of charred. You can smell the garlic coming off there nicely, hey? All right, I shouldn't use my fingers. We always do in the kitchen, but there we are, Mr. Chef. I want to just give it a turn around, make sure that doesn't burn, please. Yeah, are you going to check the other side?
There we go.
There we go. Very nice. So you can turn the pan up there so you can see it's getting nicely charred on the outside. There we go. Carry on going until it gets a little bit brown. There are 2 of you hopefully at home as well, so half of you can doing that. Chef, it's looking like it's burning. Nice.
There we go.
There we go. He's doing a fantastic job there, guys. There we go. You can see that it's getting nice and charred and browned. A little bit of smoke coming off. Nothing wrong with that. All right. So it's also sometimes puffs up, which is quite beautiful. There we go. All right. So now that you can pop that down there, we'll do 2. There we go. Lovely. I'm just going to take that off, place it over there, put it down. There we go. And while we're doing that, let's open this next one.
Yep.
You guys can be toasting your flatbreads and getting all of the ingredients ready for the next one, the chorizo, the little bit of the pickled onions. And we've got over here also our whipped feta and our lemon as well. So get all that ready. And while we're doing that, we've opened up the next one, which is the La Domaine.
La Domaine.
All right. So what are we looking at this in the La Domaine?
So in the La Domaine, on the nose, as I said, some floral notes.
Yes.
So that will be the white muscadel.
Yes.
Giving that to the wine, and then on the palate, green apple, pear.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's interesting, as I said, with the muscadel. The muscadel is, so obviously the muscadel it's a sweet grape.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And is that muscadel fermented in a different way that gives it the more of a sweetness, or is it just a sweet grape?
It's a sweet grape, but then the yeast is also important.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll use a specific yeast that will add to the white muscadel, and then that will also enhance the floral notes and the character on the palate as well.
All right. Well, this is very, very easy drinking, and I can imagine this is why this has been so popular around South Africa. Cheers. Because it's just really, really easy drinking. It's unpretentious. It's just very, very, it's not as sweet as I was going to envisage, actually.
Now, for 70 to 80 grams per liter sugar, I think this is actually well balanced.
It's well balanced, and that's also with the acidity as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, good stuff, guys. So hopefully you guys are caught up by now. You've toasted your little flatbreads. They're giving off a really, really nice sort of garlicky flavor as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to now take our chorizo. And chorizo for me is such a fantastic, should we say, cured sausage. Obviously, Spanish in origin. The flavors there obviously are garlic, Spanish paprika as well. It's a pork. It's from pig. So basically, what they would do is they would grind up a forequarter of the pig. You put it into a sausage filler. It's got lots of thyme. It's got lots of garlic. It's got lots of paprika, and then that's cured. And by curing it, basically, you're hanging it up almost like what we do with biltong. Draws out all of the liquid. It starts curing it. It is a preservation method, so obviously that can last for a long time. So beautiful chorizo. It's available at Pick n Pay. All those ingredients are available at Pick n Pay. What we're going to do is we're going to slice it up into a few little rounds. Also, very similar, guys. You don't need to follow exactly what I'm doing. You guys can get creative. We really want to see some of your chefy flair going on as well, because I know that you guys will be able to do that too. And then we've got a little bit of whipped feta. And the reason kind of why we chose this whipped feta is quite similar to what we were talking about with the goat's cheese, I mean with the blue cheese as well.
Yeah.
Creamy, something that kind of gives you a good mouthfeel. And then when you've got those very small little bubbles, it cuts through that, eh? Awesome. All right, cool. So next step, what we're going to do is we're going to take our whipped feta and we're going to do a few little nice dollops onto, there we go, all the way around. And then what we'll do is we'll take our chorizo and we'll just position it 1, 2, 3 around, give it a little bit of height if you'd like. Doesn't matter how you do it, but I like to always give it a little bit of height and texture to it. Then once we've done that, the other little bit of crunch we're going to add are these pickled red onions on top. And I love these pickled red onions because they also give a really nice sweetness to it, a little bit of acidity, a little bit of a bite. And they also are one of those things that you can do way in advance, create a big tub of it, keep it on your shelf, and they'll last for a long, long time. All right. So taste one of those. And that really is quite a cool little crunch. They haven't been cooked at all. You're literally taking an onion, a red onion, slicing it very thinly, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt, a little bit of vinegar, and then that's basically that. Somebody's asking, how do you make the whipped feta? Very, very simply, you whip feta. Nothing much more than that. But joking aside, so what you would do is you'd get feta, and if it is a little bit of a harder feta, so it's best to use some sort of soft feta, like a Danish feta, and you literally put it into a bowl and you'd whip with a whisk. And if it is a little bit too hard still, you can add a small amount of cream just to let it down. If you want to flavor it with any herbs, go for it. A little bit of thyme really works quite nicely. A little bit of lemon zest works well. Salt and pepper.
Awesome.
Lekker. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to end this off with something that I use a lot of, and this is lemon zest. So lemon zest is fantastic because it really gives that freshness, it's vibrancy, it lifts the dish, but then it also, it's not like lemon juice. So the lemon juice adds that hectic acidity, but the lemon zest just gives that really good like level of freshness without giving the acidity. So sous chef, give this a little bit of a zest over it. It's always nice to zest quite high because then you get a good There we go. Hey, not your first time in the kitchen, pal.
I actually like making food, to be honest.
Yeah, I can see it. That's enough.
There we go.
Perfect. All righty. So that's great. So you see, basically, you've got that that a little bit of freshness now there. And what you can do is you can fold it up almost like a little bit of a taco, and you can pop that into your mouth. All right. So just to sort of bring it back a little bit, and what we're going to be doing with the pairing, similar to what we did last time. Take a nice, good sip. Let it coat your mouth. Really get into that. Now, what I want you to do is take your little flatbread, turn it around if you want to. There we go. Either if it's close it up. Close it up like a little bit of a taco and pop it into your mouth. And what you'll find is quite interesting. Is almost the flavor of the sweetness. Have the other one.
Sure.
The flavor of that bubbly really sort of that cuts through. There's still an acidity to it. So the acidity is cutting through nicely on the whipped feta. You've got a really nice richness and fattiness from the chorizo, as well as the sort of the crunch, different elements and sweetness also of the pickled onion. So in my mind, it works. Try it out at home. See what it's like. How's the freshness of that? So I shouldn't be asking questions when you got a
I actually pick up some spice in the chorizo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that actually works with the sweetness of the La Domaine. Yeah.
It's true, actually. There is a bit of a hint of chili in the chorizo, which does work quite nicely here.
Awesome.
We could do this all night, huh?
Sure.
That's what really it is all about. And summer is coming, and what better partner to have than JC Roux? It's excellent. Pop that down. It's good. You know, around a pool, doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a celebration. It can be an everyday bubbly, huh?
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, so every day, totally drinkable. As I said, it's not something that is too pretentious. It's not something that is too kind of, it needs to be a big celebration for. Yeah. It just needs to be opened, nicely chilled.
Easy drinking.
Easy drinking. And that's what it really is. Fantastic. And so as we kind of go through the different bubblies, it's quite interesting to kind of why we decided to start off with the Sauvignon Blanc and move our way through. Is there kind of a rule of where you should be if you're doing a tasting, if you should be starting off with something maybe a little more dry, or how does it work?
Yeah, so generally in tasting, let's say you do white and red wine. So you always taste white before red.
Okay.
That's just because white or red wine is very heavy.
Yes.
A lot of tannins in the wine. And then especially in terms of dry and sweet. So always start with dry and then move on to the sweeter.
To the sweeter ones at the end. All right. Okay, good. And obviously we were talking about the different JC Roux sparklings, but there's quite a different variety that you guys do as well. You do an MCC. We
do MCC Scintilla.
Yeah.
The 2014 is actually sold out.
Oh no, should have got there.
Yeah, 2014 it actually won a few awards this year, but the 2015 will be launched soon.
That's crazy. So 2015, how long has that been sitting on the lease for?
So the Scintilla is 3 years on the lease.
Yeah.
And then we'll keep it in the bottle for bottle maturation.
Okay.
Until the release date is perfect for the market.
Okay, so we're looking 6 years since that was initially started.
Yeah, so a lot of tastings will take place, and then we'll decide, okay, we think the wine is fine, we can release it to the market.
Amazing. And so not only are you doing MCCs, but very interesting also what you were saying before is that you've got a couple products up at the moment which are canned sparkling wines.
Canned sparkling wines. So it's the Zesty Citrus is the one, and then the La Fleurette Light is the other one. Yeah.
So this is the La Fleurette. So it's almost like this, except a little bit lighter.
Lighter in alcohol. Same color basically, and obviously it's in a can, so it's much more easier to carry around. And
yeah, I mean, I definitely have seen a really big uptake on canned wine at the moment, and I think it's a great idea. There's no reason why you shouldn't actually be able to pop a little couple cans into your cooler box on the way down to the beach.
Yeah, and I think at JC we also try to be innovative. So there is a few ideas still coming that's in the pipeline. So you'll have to wait and see what we have coming up.
You must tell me after this. I'd love to know. Love to know. But yeah, I think that wine in a can is great. Actually, I really do. And you said that it's obviously a La Fleurette light, which is it lighter in calories, lighter in alcohol, taste?
So obviously alcohol and sugar will obviously add to your calories. So it is lighter in calories. And yeah, the alcohol is 5% alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The sugar level is still the same as the La Fleurette.
Yeah.
The alcohol is less.
The alcohol is less. Okay. Interesting. And then the other one you said was zesty
citrus.
zesty citrus.
So that is basically, it's almost made in terms of almost like a cider style.
Yeah.
But just flavors is added to the sparkling wine itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I'd love to try those. As I said, summer is coming. We're entering a perfect time for easy fun, having a little bit of a little cheeky glass around the pool. All right, cool. So we're going to be moving on to our final one, which is the La Fleurette. As you mentioned, what does La Fleurette mean in French?
Little flower.
Little flower.
Yeah.
Little flower. Okay, perfect. And what are we kind of looking for at the moment in the tasting notes here?
On the nose, so they'll also say some floral notes.
Yeah.
And then on the palate, some cherries, strawberries, Turkish delight, candy floss. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful color, isn't it? It's got a nice sort of rosy pink. This, lovely. And so, what is the composition of this wine?
So this is 70% Sauvignon Blanc, 30% white Muscadel, 5% Shiraz, 5% Pinotage. The two red wines is just added to the wine for the color.
Okay, so you don't necessarily get any of the flavor from those. It's just more for color.
You could get it, but not predominantly. No.
Okay, all right. And okay, cool. Yeah, no, I think that it is certainly something that I'm quite excited to try. And also, we also had a very good time in the development kitchen coming up with a pairing for this as well. We've actually done something called an Eaton mess. So an Eaton mess quite literally basically means crushed up little meringues. And the origins of that was that at the Eaton College in England, the border house guys at the college, the boarders were always given meringues and strawberries and cream. And what they did is they ended up crushing it up all together and mixing it up. And they created this little bit of a dish called the Eaton mess, which is basically a little bit of a smashed up as well. So we've got a bit of a play on it. It's all about doing different things and getting creative as well. So we've kind of put our own little spin on it. So as you guys are pouring your La Fleurette, I'd like to take out, you guys can take out these really, really cute little martini glasses, and these are going to be the vessels for your Eaton mess as well. So plonk those onto your board and take out all of the ingredients for a little bit of a dessert canapé. So we've gone through something quite savory, something a little bit sweeter, and now we're going to end off with our dessert canapé, which, as I mentioned, was this little Eaton mess. So different components. We've got a meringue, very, very simple meringue that you can buy Pick and Pay. Or if you're getting very, very creative, or you are a bit of a baker, you can make your meringues. Meringues, super, super simple. All they are really are egg white and sugar. You whip it all up together, and you spoon it onto a baking tray, and you bake it in the oven on a very, very low heat to create a little bit of a meringue. But much easier, just go to buy it at Pick and Pay. All right, so that is the one component. The other component is dried cranberries, really, really nice, fresh. They actually have a certain amount of acidity in them, but they've also got some sweetness, which will kind of cut through a little bit of that sweetness there as well. Yeah. And the same thing with there as well, huh?
Yeah, the sugar level in the La Fleurette is between 80 and 90 grams.
So quite high on the sugar.
A bit more sweeter than the La Domaine. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, and then we've got two little piping bags here as well. One of these piping bags is filled with a strawberry cream. This is just a butter icing as well. It's a butter icing that we have mixed with a little bit of the coulis. And as mentioned before, these all these recipes will be available to you as well. If you just ask for the recipes, we'll send them through to you. And this is like a little bit of a berry coulis. So berry coulis, also simple. You have red berries, you pop them into a pot, you start cooking them down on a very, very low heat. tiny little bit of sugar and also a little bit of lemon juice just to sort of balance out that acidity, and you end up with this great little coulis. And you would be mixing that with a simple buttercream to be making this as well. All right.
Jonathan, quick question: do you buy this like this? Or
these are made, so we made
okay.
these, and
Awesome.
you guys can make these. As mentioned, you can definitely get the recipes from us. Buttercream icing, butter, and icing sugar is basically what it is. A small amount of milk just to kind of let it down. And then what we've done is we've added a little bit of this coulis to that, just to make it a little bit of a and
then you package it as well.
Yep. So we package it up and we send it all up to them.
Oh, cool.
So everybody received that box with all of these different little components in it. All right. So it's time to kind of get our little hands dirty. We've got our martini glasses. We've got our meringue. We've got our little components here. What I want you to do is take your meringue and literally just crush it in your hands. Pull it apart. These ones have got a nice gooey center. I absolutely love that. Just put little bits and pieces into your glasses. Small little, break it all apart. The smaller the better, the bigger, the chunkier, does not matter how it's all done. I want you to put 3 or 4 little pieces. Don't go all the way to the top because we want to start building layers as well. All righty. Then what we'll do is we'll take our little strawberry cream and our coulis, just cut off the ends of our piping bags. And what we'll do is we're just going to do a few little dollops in there. 1, 2, same thing there. If you want to fill it up even more, go right ahead. I'm just doing a few little dollops because we're going to be building up a little bit as well. And then a few more crushed little pieces. There we go. On top, a little bit more of the cream. There we go. This is going to be really nice, sweet, and quite decadent as well. All right, small little bits on top. And then for the final, just to kind of cut through a little bit of that sweetness, this has got quite a nice sort of fresh bite to it. I'm just going to drizzle this on top. There we go, all the way through, so it goes down to the bottom. There we go. Perfect. Doesn't have to be perfect, as the guys who invented it, the Eaton College guys, called it a mess.
Yeah.
It can be a mess if you want to. You can also give it a little bit more. There we go. Pop that on top. And then we're going to have our dry cranberries, which also gives it a little bit of a nice sort of freshness and a bit of a zing. Place those on top. There we go. There we go. 1, 2, 3 on top. Finish it off with another layer. There we go. Of our meringue. Crushed on top. And finally, we've got our toasted almonds. So these toasted almonds, slivered almonds, we're just going to put on top as well as a little bit of a garnish, but also just a little bit of a crunch. And there you have it. These cute little martini glasses of an Eaton mess. Very, very cool.
That was delicious.
Looks delicious. It's going to be nice and sweet. It's going to be quite decadent. I'm going to give you a spoon to try that out.
Yep.
But before we do that, let's have a little taste of the La Fleurette.
Cheers.
There we go. Cheers. There we go. Really nice. Also a very nice mousse on this as well. Small, fine bubbles. It's not particularly big bubbles. You can taste, you know, there's certainly some flavors coming through of some berries, strawberries, a little bit of cranberries as well.
Yep.
Fantastic. All right, time for the pairing, guys. So basically what you're going to do, very similar to what you've done before, have a little bit of a sip, take a little bit of a bite of this, dip your spoon into it, let all of the flavors marry, and tell us what you think about that tasting. As you said, if you've got any questions, please post them into the chat box below. We'd love to hear what you're doing. And also, please don't forget to take photos and post them to social media using the hashtag P&P Wine Club, as well as the hashtag JC Leroux as well. One of 5 lucky winners are going to walk away with 200 Rand worth of smart shopper points as well. Hey, how do you like that, Ulrich?
Delish.
Delish. So it's delicious. You're going to be trying that at home, hey?
Definitely.
You said you like cooking.
I do.
Yeah? What's your favorite dish to cook?
I'd say pasta.
Yeah. What kind of pasta? Spaghetti, ravioli.
I would say spaghetti is the easiest.
Easiest and
Ravioli.
quite not into the ravioli yet.
No. The
Right,
basics.
the basics.
Yeah.
It's good. Sometimes a nice cream, white wine sauce or something like that.
Yeah.
Good man.
Keep it
Good
simple.
man. Keep it simple. Exactly. I've really enjoyed this, actually. A nice way to end off. Something slightly sweeter. Good mouthfeel as well. And I'm very sort of impressed by the mousse of that.
This is sweet, but a sip of that actually
Balances it
balances
out,
it out, yeah.
brings it down a
Yeah.
little bit, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's also the cranberries. The cranberries also add quite a nice sort of like acidity level to that, which kind of brings it down quite nicely as well. Okay. Cute little glasses, something you guys can do at home. And as I said before, please do try these at home. And if you want to get the recipes, ask us for the recipes. We'll very, very kindly post them. But experiment. It's all about experimentation. There are no rules when it comes to pairings as well. It's all about kind of where you are in the, in your environment. You can be sitting on the rocks drinking a really nice bottle of Chenin, and that Chenin will pair perfectly with fish and chips. It doesn't really have to matter.
It depends on your environment and the situation you're in.
Completely.
Yeah, will contribute to how your wine tastes.
Yeah.
And your food, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, that's exactly it. Well, fantastic. I think that we've done extremely well today. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it as well. I'm pretty sure that you've learned a few little things and tips and tricks. I certainly have from Ulrich, and thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. And also just to let you know that not only have you guys been treated to 3 lovely bottles of sparkling, we also have other things that have been included in your boxes, which you can also use. So not only that, you also will find a voucher for 100 Rand off your next shop online. So basically you can use this voucher to shop online using the code JCLaRue100, and you'll get 100 Rand off your next purchase. And not only that, but also until the 19th of December, you'll be able to get 25% off any of these 3 bubblies. Is that correct? That's it, eh?
That's correct. And I think there's another competition. I think
There
1 in
is.
3
Exactly.
can walk away with 20,000 Rand.
You've got it. Exactly. So over and above that, if you go to buy any of these bubblies in the next month up until the 9th of January, you stand a chance of winning 20,000 Rand shopping spree. And you have there's 3 of those. So this sounds like an amazing deal. 25% off any of these bottles, 100 Rand also off that. And if you do buy any of those bottles, entered into a competition to win a 20,000 Rand shopping spree. That sounds quite incredible.
I think it's worth it.
I think it's worth it as well. Amazing. Well, guys, I hope that you enjoyed your evening. Thank you very much, Ulrich. I really enjoyed it. Very, very eye-opening and very, very interesting. And hopefully we will see you next year. This is the last of the year. Have a very, very merry festive season and stay safe. And we will see you next year. Thank you very, very much, Ulrich.
Thank you. You must have a blessed festive season and keep safe. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much.
There we go. A big thank you. Virtual round of applause for Ulrich and for Jonathan. And I think there was so much we got to learn there. But principally for me, it's just that reminder of how much range of flavor there is in Cup Classique and how much fun you can have pairing it with different styles of food, from the slightly spicier paprika-laden chorizo to that real intensity of the blue cheese, and then the sweetness. Where getting your wine for a dessert can often be tricky, a Cup Classique can be the perfect option. Loads of questions came through. I think most of them got answered, but just see a few people there. I think it was Stephen Brinkamp who asked if Pick n Pay sells the tart bases, and you did get an answer from Jonathan about how to make short crust pastry. Stephen, there's a far easier way to do it. walk into Pick and Pay, go to the frozen food section, pick up some short crust pastry, buy it, go home, much easier. I do it regularly and it works an absolute charm. Tanya Neft watching, so Touch of Celebrity, the TV presenter, Carla Ellers with Line of the Night. That was a great pairing after we'd had the pair there. Carla, finish your drink for that one. Marilee Posthumous, how do you make the whipped feta? And you were told you simply whip it. The leather outfit is completely optional. Robin Duncan, please come back and bring the other MCCs to the party. We'd like to meet them too. Well, there is a terrific range, and I suspect many of you will be looking to explore those. Kim Evans, our first time, we loved it. Thank you. Well, we loved having you with us, Kim. Thank you from Linda Musabayana and from Sia Mbube. Oh my word, this was such fun. I loved the pairings. Adis Anisha Naidu and Natasha Vanika, wonderful pairing, lovely evening. So to all of you, gee, there's a long list. We'd love to hear what you thought about this evening. If it was all absolutely brilliant, well, that's fantastic. But maybe there were one or two things that you suspect we could do a touch better. Either way, you'll see in the chat box now, there is a customer survey. If you do jump on that, we'd love to hear what you thought. And one lucky person might get Jonathan packed up by Pick and Pay Online and sent to you for a week to cook for you. Probably not, but it's an outside opportunity. What do we also have to do? Well, we need to give a few people some prizes. So we've got 5 of you who posted using hashtag PNP Wine Club and hashtag JC LaRue, and you've each won 200 Rand worth of Smart Shopper points. These will be loaded up to your card. So Jackie Wernberg, Neville Nicolau, Gareth Fletcher, Millennial Marcos, and Zeti16. So well done to all 5 of you. You've got those fabulous, fabulous prizes points, which you can use, I suspect, on some JC LaRue wine. On that note, a big thank you to Ulrich for taking the time to spend it with us this evening and to showcase not just a great understanding of Cutlassy, but also a very clear passion for JC LaRue and for the wine that he produces. Also, a big thank you to Jonathan, who's just brilliant at what he does. And thank you too to Ricardo and Lauren and all the Pick and Pay people who don't see on camera, but have made such a massive effort to get your food to you, get it delivered, and put together our virtual winemakers table, of which there are more in 2022. So keep an eye out in your inbox. Invitations will come through as we confirm dates and let you know exactly who is going to be joining us next year on our winemakers table. It's been a pleasure not just having you this evening, but having everybody throughout the course of 2021, bringing together this community of like-minded food and wine lovers. I really hope you've enjoyed it, whether it's your first one this evening or whether you've done a few of them. And I sincerely hope that you'll be back armed with plenty of friends in 2022, and that between now and then, part of your wine journey will include taking bottles of wine like JC LaRue and using the bubbles to feed into your menus, feed into your food pairings, and use them all for just a celebratory glass here or there. On that note, have a wonderful festive break. Thank you for supporting. Thank you, Pick and Pay, for supporting the South African wine industry so admirably. And thank you to all of you for joining us this evening. Have a great rest of the evening. Enjoy the rest of your bubbles. We'll see you back next year. I'm Dan Nicol from Dan Really Likes Wine, which you can watch every week online. Thanks for being part of it. See you again soon. Goodbye.